Fox 5 and Hot 97 present Street Soldiers with Lisa Evers.
I'm so glad you're joining us for this episode of Street Soldiers. It's our 2021 Year in Review special. I'm your host, Lisa Evers. It was a unique year for sure. Hip-hop artists took their music and performances to new levels of creativity with a determined energy. Along the way, they pushed beyond cultural boundaries. As we honor the memories of the beloved stars we lost, we're looking forward to a bright new era in hip-hop. The decades-long feud between Kanye West and Drake was resolved during a benefit concert for prison reform. The two mega-talented giants of rap finally came together in unity, thrilling fans. It was one of the most special moments of the year, says Billboard's Carl Lamar.
You definitely got to go with Drake and Kanye West, two of hip-hop's mightiest juggernauts, for the way they've been able to squash their beef and make peace.
It was a big year for women. Megan Thee Stallion dominated the charts while earning her college degree. Cardi B became the first female artist to earn the rare diamond status milestone, selling 10 million records. Newcomer Sweetie ignited audiences and forged endorsement deals with MAC Cosmetics and McDonald's. The addictive pop hip-hop songs of Doja Cat were heard everywhere and seen in lavish videos.
I really like the emergence of Doja Cat this year. I think Doja Cat, with her Planet Her album, really stretched the limits of what hip-hop could do.
And I love the fact that women and the queens of music today are really getting the notoriety and the recognition that they deserve.
In the hit song Industry Baby, Lil Nas X featuring Jack Harlow stayed true to his unique voice and vision, challenging stereotypes and defying hip-hop's homophobia. The beats and message resonated with millions of hip-hop fans.
I'm definitely going to go with Lil Nas X and Jack Harlow, Industry Baby. From the video to the lyrics, they delivered on all points.
I think the emergence of Lil Nas X opens up a conversation that hip-hop has been having to have for a long time. This new generation doesn't care about sexuality in the same way, isn't as closed-minded as previous generations. And it is dope to see Lil Nas X do his thing.
There's a lot to talk about. Let's find out what our panel has to say. Joining me for this conversation, Carl Lamar. He's the hip-hop editor for Billboard magazine. He's also the co-host of Billboard Live on Sirius XM. Carl, great to have you with us.
Thank you for having me, Lisa.
Thank you so much. Also joining us is Rob Markman. He's the VP for Content Strategy at Genius, also an artist himself and culture commentator for a long time. Rob, great to have you with us.
It's always a pleasure, Lisa. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. You do win the Best Background Award for today.
I gotta win.
And the lights and the whole thing. I'm just getting in the holiday mood looking at it. All right. Also joining us is Amadeus, multi-platinum music producer, and he's author of the new children's book, The Story of Amadeus. Amadeus, great to have you with us.
Thank you, Lisa, and I appreciate being on this panel with these amazing kings. Thank you for having me always.
I know, it's like the three kings right here on Street Soldiers.
Yeah, you already know.
Hip-hop kings, here we go. All right.
Absolutely.
So, definitely. So, Carl, I want to start with you. You interview a lot of artists. You listen to all the music. You are out there in the middle of everything, just as it's really breaking new ground. But what do you see when you look at the landscape of the biggest hits of 2021 and the biggest artists?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think for a while we had a real heavyweight bout. First thing that comes to mind, I mean, hey, Drake, Kanye West, right? Like, this is probably the biggest publicized feud. I'm talking like this is on some WWE style kind of feud we had. It kind of been going back and forth for years. And then, with Kanye coming through and releasing his 10th studio album, Donda, 27 tracks. He did 3 big listening parties, 2 of them in Atlanta. It really set the stage for like a real bout. And then with Drake coming with his solo album, Certified Lover Boy, we already know the kind of giant Drake is when it comes to streaming. So we were kind of anticipating that 50 Kanye 2007 battle when it was Curtis and Graduation. Those dates didn't line up. It still, produced a lot of fanfare, a lot of conversation. And they both were able to get #1 albums to now where we're in a place where that feud is now in a peaceful area. Just to see that roller coaster in what was a big mega feud to now these guys, standing in arms, it has to be a highlight for 2021.
Like one of the biggest moments. Rob, what about for you? Like the biggest songs and some of the biggest artists that you see we really paid attention to this year?
Yeah, really with the sound, I feel like hip hop has leaned more so than ever into the pop lane, right? Like we always talk about hip hop being pop music because hip hop is popular, but the sound really lent itself to that too. Carl was talking about Drake, Certified Lover Boy, Way Too Sexy hitting a #1 single. I'm not gonna lie, I'm more of like an old school guy. So when I heard that sample and I heard Right Said Fred, and I was like, there's no way this is gonna work. And then you saw the video and you saw the fanfare and it hit #1 on Billboard. So, kudos to Drake and Future and Thug for that. It was more pop leaning. You also take an artist like Doja Cat, who personally I consider a hip hop artist. I know in the Grammy, she was nominated for Album of the Year for Planet Her, and she was nominated in the pop category. But that girl could rap. She can sing. She can produce too. Like, she is so talented. But you think of a record like her and SZA, Kiss Me More. Again, I'm like, these are lanes that traditionally like Katy Perry would occupy. Right. And here hip hop is. And, I think about also, I think the emergence of Lil Nas X says a lot too. I embrace him as hip hop. I think he has tremendous pop sensibilities as well, but industry baby, hitting #1. And that dude really, in so many ways, not just sonically, but just in terms of what an LGBTQ artist, what a gay artist in hip hop can be, is really stretching the limitations and raising the roof that we traditionally put on hip hop.
Amadeus, what about some of the women artists? Because we've been talking, we keep hearing about Megan, Cardi had a big breakthrough. What do you think about the female artists this year?
Absolutely going to mention Doja Cat. She's huge right now. I have an 8-year-old baby girl and my princess loves Doja Cat. And to see her success, and like Rob said, she's definitely a hip hop artist, but, I think she's an artist that's kind of able to do all things and create all different types of sounds, which is why she wins, because she has something that can resonate with everyone. You mentioned Megan Thee Stallion. You mentioned, Cardi B going diamond. You know what I'm saying? And just creating all kind of opportunities and kicking down doors, for the women. And I have to. She's been, a little quiet, but I have to give love to Nicki Minaj.
Yes.
And she's opened up so many doors for a lot of these young, amazing queens to do what they do. So I definitely had to pay it forward and shout out, to Nicki Minaj.
And she really set the bar in a lot of ways. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Rob, this year we lost some of our biggest names and some people who had a really big impact in hip hop. And I think the biggest was obviously DMX. May you rest in peace, and our condolences to his family and to his fans, who took his loss very, very personally. Where do you see him in terms of the whole hip hop pantheon of stars? Because a lot of people, it became a mainstream news story too, with the, with the funeral, with the memorial services. It just the whole saga of that tragic last week of his death. All of that became a very difficult. People were living through that as if he was a family member. Why do you think he touched fans in such a visceral way?
Well, Earl Simmons, aka DMX, he was a one-of-one. I think he touched people. There was so much pain in his life that he documented on his record, and he let it out in a very aggressive way. Obviously, barking like a dog. Like if you're just listening on the surface, it's barking like a dog. It's screaming. It's this aggression. But when you really listen to DMX, it is so spiritual. His music from As Dark as Hell is Hot all the way up into his final posthumous album, Exodus, is so spiritual. I mean, there's the prayer. He talks about the pain. He talks about his triumph. He talks about overcoming. I think DMX, since debuting in 1998, he had been around before that, but really planted his flag in 1998 with Dark as Hell is Hot, helped lifted people up, helped lifted hip hop fans up. And, you just saw by the outpouring of emotion. He was deeply flawed as a human, and he wasn't afraid to show his flaws and fall down and get back up. And he inspired us that we can do the same, because none of us are perfect. And he's a one-on-one. I think he's going down like Big, like Pac, like he's one of the legends. If there's a Mount Rushmore of hip hop, DMX's face is undoubtedly on that.
It's definitely going to be. Carl, what about DMX? Because everyone kept saying over and over again, he had this loyal fan base for years and years and years around the world. And it was a lot of it was that authenticity that just he's like, this is what I am. And he was kind of ahead of the whole hip hop trend with the authenticity thing, I think.
Yeah, I mean, to Rob's point, the brother was just raw, man. Like his rawness, his candor, and I think people gravitated to that. And the scary thing about it, like I remember I was a kid. One of my favorite movies was Romeo Must Die with Aaliyah, R.I.P. Aaliyah. And I remember talking to Kevin Lyles a couple months ago, right after X's passing, and he said, "Yo, X was the same person, acting and rapping and just being him. It's like one person. There's no off button. There's no switch. He's bringing that same demeanor and attitude everywhere he goes, and even watching Belly, that's Earl Simmons right there. You know what I'm saying? Just with the little twist, but it's pretty much Earl Simmons we were watching on the screen. And I think people were able to gravitate and pull to that realness, which obviously struck a chord even with Exodus, to Rob's point, to where the Grammys even felt compelled and got him a nomination going into 2022 for Bath Salts with Jay-Z and Nas. So his realness is always going to continue to be a trademark in hip hop. It's forever going to live on.
Amadeus, what are your thoughts on DMX?
Yeah, I agree with my brothers, and and Lisa, this in regards to how much he means to me and the opportunity that was created for me as a producer. Me producing the title track "Cradle to the Grave" on the movie and soundtrack, alongside Foxy Brown. So when I remember when he first dropped, I was like, "Who's this dude? No shirt on, chains around his neck, dogs everywhere." And I think that's why people fell in love with him. He was so real. He was so raw, uncut. Nothing about him was a gimmick. He wasn't trying to fit in. He was like trying to bring you into his world, and either you rock with it or you didn't. So that's why he won. And I always share that with artists. When you are being you and your authentic self, you're destined for success because you're not trying to be what you're not. People can see through fakeness. People can see through phoniness. And DMX was just as real and raw as it came. And that's why he always won. And he will forever be a legend to us. His music will forever, y'all gonna make me lose my mind up in here. Like, you're gonna hear
anthems. They're anthems. They're like anthems for whatever struggle you're going through and whatever anger you want to release. Yeah. We also lost Young Dolph and it almost seems like a script that has become way too familiar. It's like an artist who is about to really blow, and then they end up being gunned down in street violence. It reminds us of what happened with Pop Smoke, right? As he was having all the huge success. Even going back to Chinks, as he was starting to break through at a different level, but he was having his breakthroughs. We see, Young Dolph murdered, and you had interviewed him. Can you give us a sense? Because he was a hometown hero to many people in Memphis. Aside from the music, he was that one that would go into the schools and talk to the kids and go, look, you got to do what they tell you to do, and being like that positive force in the community. But you interviewed him. Can you share a little bit of that with us? What your sense of him was?
Yeah, I think Dolph was a brilliant artist, just conceptually, creatively, the way that he approached his music. I think he was a businessman who knew what he wanted and set a standard. He maintained his independence. He had a partnership with Empire Distribution, but he and I had many conversations about what it means to own your own masters, what it means to really not sign the first deal that comes ahead. And hopefully, and what I think is going to happen is that, unfortunately, in his passing, but at least his children will be able to benefit from the fruits of his labor.
I've spoken with you guys, all of you, all three of the kings here, about different ways that artists are making money, because things changed a little bit during the pandemic when they couldn't tour, when they couldn't do live shows. And then there's all these other avenues that are open up. Amadeus, how do you see artists and music producers like yourself? What are some of the new avenues where people are making money, where artists are making money?
Well, there's always been an opportunity to get sponsorships. A lot of different things and avenues you can go to in regards to product and equipment that companies will team up with you in order to help promote their brand. So it's that. Of course, social media wasn't here when I first started as a producer. So now that it does exist, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, it just allows you to be able to display your gifts and talents throughout the world and to just gain notoriety and create new opportunities for yourself. So I really have excelled in a great way, with the book coming out. I just released a book last week, sold out of 125 copies, only by posting on Instagram and Facebook. So it just shows you how important
the power of that
social
platform.
media is. So that's, a few of the different ways. Of course, live shows will be performing with Trey Songz and at Dre's nightclub. That show money go directly to you as an artist and as a performer. You know what I mean? If you have the right deal, it'll go towards you directly and not the label.
Carl, what about the way they're making money? Because you guys talk about masters, meaning that the artist owns the rights to that music, right? That they can sell it, they can license it. So what do you see happening, like ways that people are making money?
Yeah, I think obviously with them getting their masters, that enables them to get their pockets way bigger than they would have before, instead of a label, slicing and dicing, getting chunks out of it. I'm gonna give an example. I think she's a pretty good blueprint, and I mentioned her earlier. I had the chance to speak to her a couple weeks ago. I think what Sweetie is doing is it's just crazy, from a brand and marketing standpoint, because we know her as this caliber artist who just got 2 Grammy nominations, but she's been closing deals left and right. I'm talking MAC Cosmetics. I'm talking about having a Sweetie meal at McDonald's. Her collaboration with Call of Duty, like she's really tapping in to different facets, and it's also things that she loves. She's a video game head. She loves playing on the Xbox. She told me when she was a kid, I used to love a Happy Meal back in the day. Who didn't love a Happy Meal back in the day? Right. So now she has her own. So she's really diving into her passions, and I think that's something like a blueprint for artists to do. It's not just getting the quick money grab. It's let me get involved with a project that I know I'm passionate about. I mean, hey, look at Megan Thee Stallion with her own freaking Popeye sauce and everything, her hot sauce. Because God knows she be eating them Popeyes and she loves it. So I think having artists being able to not only delve into their passion and find an area where it's profitable, I think that's just a happy medium.
Right there. Rob, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think he's spot on. One of the things that I do at Genius that I don't talk about very much, but one of my positions is when brands come to Genius for brand partnerships, we connect them with the right artists. So I'm connecting them with the right artists and getting artists some of these deals that Carl is talking about. I mean, during the pandemic, I've done deals with Freddie Gibbs and Ari Lennox and Mike Will and Wiz Khalifa and Big Sean, Shenseea, Megan Thee Stallion, Don Toliver, T-Pain, like you name it. And, I think when touring had stopped, these brand partnership deals, because of the reach that these artists have, was a good way for them to earn income. I think artists should also look into branding themselves and getting into merch early, because, you look at folks like, might not be the biggest artist in the world, but Currency, with his Jet Life line has tremendous sales in his merch. Or you look at the Griselda guys, Westside Gun,
right,
Conway, and they do very well with merch. This NFT space is going to be really interesting. Right now, I think we're seeing just the boom with everybody in it. And I think the question is, how much value can you actually have? Like, what can you create as an NFT that actually holds and retains value, not just monetarily, but that sentimental value between an artist and a fan. And I think the artists who start to figure that out will do very well for themselves outside of the traditional ways of making money. Producers, I look at a guy like Illmind who sells beat packs, and now his beat packs are NFTs. So, he's not always waiting for a placement or for a release to come out. He's also making a way for himself and making a brand for himself. So there's a lot of ways to get it out here.
Amadeus, what about music trends in terms of the sounds? Because you guys are talking about, we're hearing more of these pop sounds, but what do you see? Give us kind of like the drone view of all of these music trends. What do you see going on here?
Definitely, and I can definitely speak from a producer sense, just kind of, everybody using the 808s and the trap beats. And a lot of today's artists are giving us the singy and the melodic, lyrical content versus just being raw and straight, just rapping, you know what I mean? So it's kind of more singy hooks, songs that we can sing along to, dance along to, have fun, enjoy yourselves. So, that's kind of where the trends are today. Me performing at Dre's nightclub, I get to see, the Baby and Little Baby and just a lot of the younger artists and the artists that are winning today, and just kind of get a sense of where they are. And they're just having fun. They're definitely just having fun. I could appreciate it. It causes me to step my game up as a producer. Being in the business for 20 years, man, you got to be able to follow the sounds, follow the trends, but at the same time, keep it yourself. You know what I mean? So, that's definitely my take on it.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of Street Soldiers on Hip Hop's Year in Review. You can watch it again or share it on our Fox 5 NY YouTube page. Remember, use your mind as your best weapon. I'm Lisa Evers. Let's push for peace, love, and justice for all.